The wheel of time turns and ages come and pass, leaving memories that become legend. Welcome to Dragonmount. I'm Kathy Campbell,
I'm Rajiv Moté.
And I'm Maureen Carr.
and we are in episode 6 of season 3 of The Wheel of Time. Oof, it was a fun one.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. This was just fun from start to finish.
Yeah.
Well, not the start,
well,
but
well,
right after the
fun with quotes.
start, it was fun.
Big.
Well, they
Right,
painted a
sorry.
brand new culture in Tanchico, which
Mhm.
was fun to see.
Yeah.
It's definitely a rich party town, and
Yes.
kind of it seemed like the cast is going on spring break here. A little
Mhm.
rough, a little bawdy, lots of fun to be had.
Mhm.
Some danger too.
Yes.
Uh, And
Yes.
then, of course, the rest of our cast is moving the plot forward. Things are getting scary out in the waste, and things are
Scary in the Two
are
Rivers too.
getting scary in the two rivers. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So at least Nynaeve and Elaine and Matt and Min are having fun.
And
Yeah, at
Tom.
least some of
But
them.
yeah.
Yeah,
But we'll get
that's
That's
there.
true.
that's
We'll
right.
get there. Let's get started though, Maureen.
All right, so this episode is called The Shadow in the Night. This was written for television by Raimi Park, and it was directed by Marta Cunningham.
Excellent. All right. Cold open. Talk about
Hmm.
intense.
Hmm.
Oh,
There's a little thing that says Tanchico 95 years ago, and baby Leandrin, the child bride, holds the baby, other baby, baby's having babies, Aludrin,
mhm.
feeds him because he's screaming like newborns do, and who is we're assuming that the man that comes in is her husband.
Yeah. So the
Um,
original Jack Lunalt,
yes.
uh, and one of his henchmen, masked
Yeah.
henchmen. Uh,
Yes.
and yeah, the baby's screaming, and he just wants to say, "Hey, go drown that baby."
Yep.
And that's when young Leandrin discovers her powers.
Yes. She learns that she can channel and proceeds to basically like shoot a bullet of power through the henchman's forehead. And does another one through her husband before he can react or do anything, and then proceeds to have a very I'm assuming cathartic stomping of the head.
Yes.
Hmm.
That was like, obviously there's been a lot of blood and whatnot in this season, lots of fighting and stuff, but there was something about that felt very graphic. It felt very intimate, even though it wasn't a close scene. It wasn't like just the sound and the showing of it, I think was
Yeah.
more graphic than we had seen in anything else, which was
Yeah.
really interesting to me.
And
Yeah.
it involves a child, well, two children,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
that always makes it a little more uh kind of grips you a little harder there.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
But definitely understandable seeing Leandrin's reaction. Like,
Oh
I
yeah.
was not at all like, oh God, that was terrible. Like, no, good for her.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Which I think made it really interesting that she walks out of her cell into the city. She's looking for help. Everybody's ignoring her. It's a busy port city, lots of people just kind of wandering around, and she's being she's this gutter girl with a baby being ignored, and then she kind of finds a place to nestle by this statue that we learn a lot about this episode.
Yeah.
A kneeling man with a collar around his neck, and she kind of rests by his feet. And I don't know if it's like a dream that she has, because there's sort of this flickering that goes
Yeah.
on.
Mm.
But our old friend Ishamael, Ishi, the first Forsaken that we had seen in this series, he is the one who offers her a helping hand.
Hmm.
And I'm watching a or I'm listening to a podcast about kind of the biblical origins of the devil. And it's all the different stories, not just biblical, but all sorts of how the devil is represented, how
Mm,
evil is represented, and you know, whether people have free will in their choice of evil, or if there are other things involved. Is the devil himself, a victim, that kind of
yeah.
thing. And you know, we saw Leandrin in this very tight space just kind of go through awfulness
Yeah.
and looking for help where everybody is not giving her any help. And then who reaches out to her? Basically, the devil in this world.
Yeah.
Uh, and it really makes you wonder about the nature of evil in this particular story, because she follows him, obviously. She is trained as Black Aja because of his intervention.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but, nobody else was there for her.
Right.
So
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, first off, what podcast is that you're
Hmm.
listening to? Because I want to make a note of that.
Yeah, yeah, we should make note. It's a great podcast called uh, 10 Heads, Seven Horns, or is it the other way around? Hold on. It's the Book of Revelations, the great beast who rises, and yeah, Seven Heads, Ten Horns is the name of the podcast,
Okay.
and it's two really nerdy scholars just kind of going with a fine-tooth comb through like Milton, Goethe, biblical legends, Bible apocrypha, and just talking about how evil and the devil is represented in all these different stories. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, that is,
That's interesting.
yeah, super interesting. And I think your point about, the devil coming and basically if Leandrin hadn't made it out, I mean, she probably would have been dead a long
Mhm.
time before. But also she would have been dead if she didn't have Ishi come and save her,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and what that looks like, who her person and personality became, because of course she was Black Aja before she went to the tower. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, can you be Black? She was a dark friend before she
Yeah,
became.
she's
There
a
we go.
dark friend
That's a better.
beforehand.
That's a
Yeah.
better thing. Um,
And
but it,
and it's not spoiling anything to say further down, Nynaeve, hopefully everyone's watched this episode before
yeah,
they're listening to us.
yes, because
But
if not, really,
yeah.
right? Please let
I,
us know.
I mean, Nynaeve is looking at the city, and it does feel like a city of kind of debauchery and sin, and all sorts of pleasures to be had, as well as a lot of rough stuff going on. And she's saying, Leandrin came from this place.
Yeah,
I wonder if this was the place that made her what she is.
yeah,
Mhm.
And,
Well, in
this
that,
cold opening is yes.
yeah.
I
What?
don't want to jump too much forward, but in that exact scene, isn't it a child bride they see walk by that makes Nynaeve ask that?
Ah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
So it definitely leaves that connection and it's setting up. I don't know, like, if we'll see. So, of course, there's the phrase, no one can walk so long in the dark that they cannot be brought into the light. And this idea of redemption, whether in this life or the next, or whatever that circle is, it's really, I think, leaving Leandrin up to be redeemed, or possibly like to choose not being redeemed, like this idea
Mhm.
Yeah.
that who you are is kind of a sum of all of the pieces of the life that you've received. And I think this idea that you are able to, you know the circumstances that have created your life can mean so much or so little depending on how you react to it, but also what other inputs happen in your life. And so
Mhm.
she didn't have a whole lot of positive, and I say positive very loosely because, of course, in her mind, I can imagine that Ishi coming and, you know, knew her name and
Yep.
talking to her like is a positive influence based on, all of the other
Yeah.
negative things that she's had happen to her. So of course, like, oh my gosh, somebody cares about me as a person, not what I can do or create, because here,
Or apparently, because
right,
he is concerned
right,
about that.
right. Um, and so, if it gets to the point of like, oh my gosh, I realize like, everything that I've done in my life has been, for whatever reason, but I don't know if redemption is such a thing, since she does desperately, as we learn in this episode, desperately want to become a Forsaken. And even though like we've seen the connections that she's had, with Nynaeve and being able to like connect with her on a personal level, this idea of the overarching goal being more important, I think, is something that she's shown. She's willing to do whatever it takes to get things
Yeah. Yeah.
done. And that includes, stomping on a man's head, or, still sending Nynaeve off and the rest of the girls to the Shanshan, because that is the overall larger goal, even if she might feel a little bit bad about it.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. Well, and this is a good segue. It takes us right into the present day, where we stay with Leandrin,
Mm-hmm.
and Leandrin is, we learn in the world of dreams, and she happens to be in the hall of the tower. She's sitting on the Amerlin seat on the throne in the White Tower, and she's not looking happy about it necessarily. This isn't her gloating and fantasizing, but she is sitting there,
Yeah.
and I would love a penny for her thoughts right then and
Right.
there. And maybe
Mhm.
if we ever interview her again, we can ask her about that.
Yeah.
Just
I
what were
wonder
you
if
thinking?
I wonder if it's kind of an idea of her imagining being Forsaken level, who has taken over the tower. So basically the Black
Yeah,
Aja is the only Aja, um and she is the Amirlan seat, and being able to, openly use the
yeah,
power of all the Aes Sedai in a way that the Forsaken are very individualistic. They're out for themselves, and yes, they have, servants and slaves and whatever that work for them, but not necessarily, partnerships or like a
yeah,
large
Mhm.
team of people that can do a lot of things
yeah,
well, like being able to manage all of the Aes Sedai and
yeah.
have them turn to her. So that's what I think she's looking at.
Yeah, and I think something you said there really kind of resonates with the scene, because how it's filmed is, she's alone
Yeah.
in this room. She's sitting on a throne, but she's alone. And so it's like, what are you ruling over?
Yeah.
Mhm.
What is the prize that you're trying to chase here?
Yeah.
If it's kind of maybe just being the last person standing. Uh,
Which is
so
possible. Well,
which is possible.
yeah, and it's also something to be said too, that this kind of shows not necessarily a lack of understanding of the world of dreams, but that she's not really a full dreamwalker. She's not putting other people in this scene. She's
Yeah,
in the space as it exists in real life, but not
yeah,
with, whatever, fawning all over her or whatnot. And you mentioned, Ishi in the cold open, and it almost looked like that same World of Dreams
mm,
Mhm.
vision. So
yeah,
I don't know, like, if she fell asleep and Ishi found her there and pulled her in, and that's how he kind of knew her name and
yeah,
whatnot, or if it was real life, or what. But it seems to me that she probably went into the World of Dreams for the very first time at that point, and Ishi kind of found her and pulled
yeah,
her in and made that whole situation.
Mhm.
And
yeah.
so
I definitely think it was that.
yeah, and
They
that
didn't
And
pairs
just meet on the
yes.
street.
right.
It
Yeah.
was
Mhm.
a very stylized, I'm falling asleep alone in the stand, and
Mhm.
then he's flickering and coming toward her.
Yeah.
Uh, Yeah. So this
But
is something that.
it
Go ahead.
still does raise the question of how he was in Tel'aran'rhiod, which, as book readers we know, but I'm curious
Yeah.
how the show is going to be able to explain that.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
he's still in the seal. He didn't get out of the seal till Rand let him out of the seal.
Yeah.
Aha.
Yeah. Anyway,
Time for the book
yeah,
conversation.
yeah. Hold on. I gotta get my notepad.
You gonna put that down?
We got it. We're ready. Okay,
Yeah.
hold on. Let me write it down so we don't forget.
All right. So we're in the throne room. Leandrin's having a private moment, kind of contemplating what her future might be and what her ambitions are. And Lanfear appears and confronts her about what she's doing in Tanchico, so she doesn't know. And Leandrin's saying, "I'm from here. This is my home." But Leandrin or Lanfear is really concerned about, okay, are you working for one of the others? Five Black Aja together is too big of a prize. Are you working for Raven? Because he usually picks the one who's a little more who thinks too highly of herself and maybe has ambitions above her station. And I thought that would be you, Leandrin, but you have until tomorrow to find the one that is answering to the other Forsaken and to kill her. And that's otherwise I kill you is basically the threat. So Leandrin has no choice but to
Yeah.
accept this.
I love
Yeah.
that this sets up something that we see in the books as well, and this isn't a spoiler or anything, but the idea that the Forsaken don't know everything,
Mhm.
and the idea that they are still basically human, for the most part, are in are fallible. We saw it definitely a lot in the first two seasons, but for sure this idea that she Lanfear has no idea what the other Forsaken are doing and who is talking to them, and what Leandrin even is talking about, like what Leandrin knows. And so I think that's really powerful to have that set up. And it's also interesting to me that Lanfear doesn't think that Maggedion is one of the Forsaken that is manipulating.
Yeah.
And as we see, that is a mistake for not, giving some sort of power to Maggedion, who is clearly hanging out with the Black Aja.
Right.
She
So
found them.
as we know, she's been kind of the acting as the maid or a
Yes.
servant, and she's been kind of haunting the halls of the Lunault Manor where they're all camped out, and she's in the background as Leandrin has awoken, and she's bringing together her cabal, and she shows them the painting of the shackled man, which is uh, the full version of the statue that remains outside where
Yep.
she actually sat as a child and where she met Shamel for the first time. And so the lore there is that this is a representation of two women, each wearing a bracelet, a Shan Shan Adam bracelet, which we knew from season two controls channelers, and one man between them who's wearing the collar um, of of someone who's being controlled by the Adam. And so this is a technology that will control men who can channel. And of course, there is one man above all in this time and place who's important, and that's the Dragon Reborn. So, you know, Leandrin has some ambitions here. Um,
Yes.
and the path to that ambition is so they know about one bracelet. They need the collar and the other bracelet in order to complete this device that can control the Dragon Reborn. And that's how she can basically become a Forsaken or become one of the chosen.
Yeah.
Uh, and so, yeah, she is setting this up, and all in the background, Mogedian's kind of looking and making note.
Yes. Yes,
So she's
definitely.
piecing together some of the stuff, which is kind of fun because, like you said, Kathy, the Forsaken don't know everything, but this is how they learn. They learn
Yeah.
through the most mundane of means. They're
Yeah.
they're spying on the people who are making things happen.
Well,
I
and
don't know. I think. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Kathy.
I was just gonna say, to be fair, I don't think anyone but McGideon would pose as a servant to
Right,
learn
yeah.
these things. Like,
Absolutely.
I cannot see, like, even Lanfear was, in order to get connected to Rand, was the owner of an inn. So
Mhm.
like she, did her own thing and managed all of that. And so like that's a whole different vibe, shall we say, of life than McGideon, and definitely
Mhm.
Samael and Robin. Robin's freaking a prince consort to a
Yeah.
Yeah,
queen.
yeah.
Very
He's playing in
different.
royalty right
Mhm.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And we
Very
still
different
don't
vibes.
know where the other three remaining are,
Yes.
and one of them
Mhm.
is even unknown in
We
name
don't
to
even
us.
know. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
okay.
Which it's fine. It's fine.
All right. Well,
Yeah, we'll learn.
that for sure means there's another season. So,
Yeah,
all right.
right. Fingers crossed. At least
Yeah.
keep watching the show. Tell your friends. Get all of this content. Share it out there. Let's hopefully there will be
Yeah.
more seasons for sure. So let's head over to a different place in Tanchico as Elaine is doing her teaching to Nynaeve to try and make sure that Nynaeve knows who all of the Black Aja is. Nynaeve doesn't care because she just is looking for Leandrin, and Elaine is like, well, you can't just look for one of them. There are 5. Why would you
Yeah.
not look for
Our,
all 5?
our target isn't Leandrin, it's the Black Aja,
Yeah.
Mhm.
is Elaine's perspective. But of course, for Nynaeve, it is personal. There's a personal connection with
Yeah.
Yeah,
Leandrin.
definitely.
And yeah, so they're reviewing all of the things that they know. We get a little info dump exposition about who these players are, and then Matt and Min come into the room and burst out laughing because both Elaine and Nynaeve are, of course, trying on the very Mardi Gras-esque sort of costumes of Tanchico, and they're like, ah, look at that! What are you trying to wear? Uh, and so Min advises them a little bit about you don't want to wear too many beads. That's your price. So there's
Which I have some questions about
I
this.
yeah I don't have
We're gonna
answers for
stop it right there. I know we don't have answers, but we're gonna discuss this anyways. Wouldn't you want
it.
a lot of
An
beads?
elevated price.
Like, I feel like that's not a bad thing.
Uh,
No, the point is, if you don't have a lot, then you can't be bought because there's no beads. You're not for sale.
okay, maybe.
But
Or you're trying to blend in with the low folk.
but aren't
there.
those beads that are like dangling? I don't. Who am
I didn't get it. I didn't get it myself.
Yeah, who am I to question Sharon Gilliam's choices for costuming? But yeah, I did not understand it. But that's fine. I don't need to understand it. It's okay.
Hey,
It's okay.
let's get some theories in the feedback. So
Yep.
please leave some comments and explain this all to us.
Yes, please. Very, very, very ridiculous. I don't know all of the things, but that's fine. But I love their interaction. I love, Matt and Min's friendship just makes me
Yeah.
so happy.
Very happy.
I also really love, so in the books, the veils are just like, they're talked about veils, and
Yeah.
I always just imagined they were, the same. Everyone wore
sheer
it the
cloth,
same,
that
just
kind of
sheer
thing. Yeah,
cloth
that's what I
over.
imagined.
Yeah, and the fact that there's so many variations, they
Mhm.
all look unique. It all is done in a different way. Like, I think that's so magical to kind of
Mhm.
add that extra layer of, oh, well, this is how they are,
Mhm.
Yeah.
this is how this exists. And so I think that's really special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They definitely had fun with the costumes in this.
Oh,
place,
yeah,
so.
definitely.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yes.
And then it looks like Matt's wearing the one that he told Nynaeve not to
Yes.
wear when they come out. So I guess his price is low or something, we can assume.
Or the price only works for women. I don't know. Again, many questions that I have. And then so they make it out into the city. There's a big wheel where people are like throwing knives
Yeah.
at people, and it's chaos and it's joy, but also stress. Like it feels very much kind of like the outskirts of Kyrian.
The Forgate.
The
Yeah.
Forgate, that kind of like chaotic, we only live once type of a
Yeah.
situation.
To me, it really felt like a Rio Carnival type of
Yeah.
atmosphere. Just,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
again, lots of fun, lots of delights, bit of danger, all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I
even
was
more.
thinking Val and Luca, but we can save that for the
Ah,
book part
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
with the knife throwing.
Yeah.
You bet.
I could see that. So Elaine is doing her best Tanchico accent.
So cute.
And teasing
Oh, I can't stand it.
and flirting. It's adorable.
So
I
adorable.
love it. I love her little hair thing, like the head wrap. I love the at ease. She's so at ease. She's so like relaxing, like just haha, I know what I'm doing here.
Well, yeah, and this is, not a book spoilers per se, but I think it's the same vibe that's a little more explicit from the books where the daughter heir doesn't get to go out very much. And this is her chance to get out. And
Yes.
that's fun.
It's
And so
very
she's-
Princess
Oh.
Jasmine in
Yeah,
Aladdin.
exactly. Yeah, good call.
Yeah.
So she's definitely there. But I think it's worth mentioning too that like, she's given, or was it Nynaeve who gave, just they've got assignments. They're on a heist. So
Yes.
men, you got to go use your visions, find out information. Matt, go join a card game.
Yes.
And
Go gamble.
Listen for rumors and that kind of thing. And Nynaeve and I will take care of things that require more subtlety.
Yes.
Which is hilarious further down the issue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The
But
episode.
But even now, this is not subtle. She's clearly an attractive woman that's flirting and teasing, and that's definitely something that is not.
Although she's fitting in with that party atmosphere.
That is very true. That is
sure.
very true. But also, I love that she does a line something like, "Oh, like you could, even." Like you're not talented enough to be able to look behind a woman's veil or get a woman to take off her veil, and then she literally like a second later takes off her veil to take a drink. It's like
right.
At least give like a little bit of a cut, but it's fine.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
fine.
and by the way, we should mention, like we usually do, we are not going sequentially through the episode.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
following threads of particular locations. So we're going to stay in Tanchico. So yeah, so we're in the night market at this point, and
Yes.
Matt is putting it out there to the folks who are listening to him that he's in the market for a collar to match this cool bracelet that he has. So and is it for some lady friend?
Very manly.
Someone said, no, it's for a manly man like me. So he knows when to flirt with the guys too. And one is absolutely eating it up.
Yeah.
He's using that angle to try and find what they need.
Yeah.
He's putting it out there. And
then he hears the magical, tune of the great, the Hunt for the Horn song from a voice that he recognizes.
Yeah, the grave is no bar to my call is the song.
It's the line. Yeah. And
the line.
Basically like runs, grabs his stuff, is like, I'll be right back. Hold on now. And runs off. And it's like, Tom Maryland. Hey, buddy. I know I look a little bit different than when you last saw me.
I don't recognize you at all. All right.
But I feel like the Gleeman's coat is different than it was in the first season, and I really liked it. This variation of it I thought was really really good. And Tom is basically like, I don't want anything to do with you. Last time you left me for dead, and Matt's kind of like, oh,
With
buddy,
a
you're not
fade.
dead.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
the Fade didn't actually kill you, so
Right.
that's
So
great.
let's remind. We last saw Tom in season 1, and I'll be honest, I'd forgotten the announcement that he was cast. So when I saw him again, I was like, oh, he is coming back. I thought they
Yay!
dropped him from the show altogether. But no, Tom is back, and he's a useful guy.
Yeah,
You know,
especially later on in this episode, he becomes very useful.
absolutely. But he knows stuff, and he keeps dropping little bits that uh oh yeah, I was at the court of Camelin, Queen Morgase's
Yeah.
court for a while, just and he knows, of course, about all of the customs here, and he knows the lore about the bracelets and the collar. So,
Yeah.
he's a guy who kind of is a worldly enough fellow, even more so than Min.
Yeah.
Uh
Well, he
so
picks up
yeah.
stories.
He
Yeah.
does. He does. That's
So
He's
his
a
he knows the
job.
Gleeman.
mythology.
That's what he does. That is
Uh-huh.
what a Gleeman does. It's not
Yeah.
just songs, it's stories too.
Yeah. He's a
And
bard in D&D, high
yes.
lore
Yeah.
rolls. So
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
With a high charisma.
Mhm.
And Matt, basically is like, well, I'm gonna pick your pocket and I'm gonna steal your money, and
which is what Tom did to him
exactly.
in the first season.
Yeah,
So
and what was it you taught me? The best life lessons cost the
Yeah.
most. Dingle,
Right.
dingle, dingle. Yeah,
let me buy you a drink.
yeah.
So
And
how
speaking
can you
of
resist Matt? That's-
Yeah,
right,
definitely.
you can't,
Mhm.
you can't. And speaking of drinking, Nynaeve and Min are drinking, and Nynaeve is letting her braid down.
Yeah.
Not at first. No, at first it's just her face.
Yes.
That's just my face.
It's clearly not she's got RBF. She's got resting bitch face. Real
Yeah.
strong. Real
Mhm.
strong. But Min is gonna help let
Yeah.
her braid down.
And you know what? That is so true. When she when she had enough to drink and she just started smiling, it was so lovely.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
just so happy to see her
Mhm.
happy.
So happy. But they're gonna play the game of let's see what's happening, what the people are, and Min basically pulls out her theatrical aha, I found the woman that you're going to marry. And it's a woman who likes to wear green with a white stripe in her hair. Like, oh my gosh, you better go tell her right away. And this way of manipulation is like, okay, because she saw that the Black Asha was going to kill him, but by saying, oh yeah, you're going to marry him, or you're going to marry her, they're getting a path to that person. They're gonna be able to like go and find where the Black Asha are, because here's a vision that triggered what Min needs to know to be able to find them.
And
And this is what Elida said, right? She's like, you can control leading up to it, not necessarily the thing. But so Min sees the guy's gonna die.
That's
She's like,
great point.
I'm gonna use this to my
Yes.
advantage.
Yeah.
and
He's gonna
send him
die
to his death.
anyways.
Yeah.
lesson well learned. Yeah, she might have agonized over that before.
Yeah.
But you're right. After the conversation with Elida, she's using this as a tool. Like, she sees a guy, she knows that the Black Aja Jean Katie is going to kill this guy, and well, since she knows they're linked, she can pretend to be a fortune teller and say, "Hey, you're going to marry that woman," and gets him to talk and gets him to spill that. Oh yeah, she's at the old Lunalt estate. So
that means she's rich too. Like, she pulls it off so well.
Oh,
like,
she-
really
she's got the
manipulative.
Bring
right?
your friends. Bring your
Yeah,
friends.
uh-huh.
That
Yeah.
one's free, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell fortunes all over the place. So
Mhm.
Yeah. I think that's it's interesting because it's very different than her energy that she had beforehand.
Mhm.
And this growth in her character, I think, is really important and special,
Yeah,
and means a lot to a lot of, like, again, this is a season of character growth and
yeah.
figuring out how people can live with, the tricks and things that they have. And so I think it's really
For
special.
sure.
Mhm.
That's a good point. That's a through thread of this season, and especially these last few seasons. Or these last few episodes, we're gonna see a lot of people kind of coming into their own
Yeah.
and really understanding their power.
Yeah.
But we'll get to all of that.
Yes, indeed. And Leandrin,
Leandrin's probing about that though.
Yeah.
She's talking about that child. I just visited the child bride, and that's quite a number you did on her with that weave of yours that manipulates memory. Can you be a little more precise with that weave? Do you know how to do that? And Naomi was like, "Oh, only the Forsaken can do that."
yes.
And so this is Leandrin trying to find Robin's pawn
Yeah.
because she has a day to do it before Lanfear
She
comes and
gets,
kills her.
Mhm.
So she better complete the mission.
yep.
And this is enough. Robin is a master of that weave of compulsion. So she thinks, okay, well, this is
If
this
she,
is
if she,
evidence enough for me.
right, if she
Mhm.
learned about that precise, like if Naomi knew how to do a precise weave, well, then clearly
Yeah,
she learned it from Robin. How
yeah,
that works, male, female channeler, that's not a question that we're going to ask.
yeah. We'll
Um,
talk about it with the books, but yeah,
yes.
that's not
But then
a part of this.
Megiddian is continuing her servantdom by ripping up laundry and chewing and spitting on the food. This was
Oh,
so gross. I
absolutely.
hate
Yeah.
mouth noises with food, especially. And I was just like, ugh, ugh, and then sticks it back. Ugh,
Uh-huh.
ah,
Yeah.
ah.
So I mean, yeah, what is Moghedien doing here? It's very
She's just
petty.
unhinged.
Yes,
Yeah, she's
she's
these
a
are her
chaos
tools,
queen.
Hmm.
but she's like it's like a waiter spitting in your food before bringing it to you, but like 10 times over. And
Right.
like someone has the laundry and you're gonna rip up the laundry. You're just gonna sabotage all of these people
Yeah.
and make their lives difficult for what? You're one
Because
of the
she
Forsaken.
can. She's a
Because she
Forsaken,
can.
but this is how she rolls,
She is,
She
yeah.
does whatever, like, comes to mind. I don't think she has a filter. So if
Yeah.
the intrusive thought comes in, she just follows through.
Yeah.
I can see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So this is definitely a character moment for Megiddian, and
Mhm.
she is kind of a small member of the Forsaken, and she's called a coward by them,
Yeah.
and so she's petty. She's kind
Yeah.
of this nasty, nasty little spider.
Yes. Yes. So Tom ends up sitting down and talking to Matt, and basically does a recap of, like, wait, so
Yeah,
your redhead's the dragon reborn and you're the horn blower. And then Matt, talks in the old tongue and is
Mhm.
like, ah, dang, I did it again. Um, and brings up Leandrin, who Tom recognizes
he
the
knows everyone.
name because, of
Mhm.
course, yeah, he knows everyone. But it's like, okay, well, okay, hold on. She's dangerous. You need to stay away. Like, this is not a good thing. And then they look over and there's Elaine having issues with the men that she had been teasing, to
Yeah,
which Tom is
someone has
like,
drawn a knife on her and is
yeah,
holding it at her throat.
what is the daughter heir of Andor doing here? And Matt's like, wait a second. You know her? What? Come on now. And I just love that moment of just like, oh, it's all a connection. And then, of course, Tom has to go save the day. Like,
Mhm.
it's my apprentice. Is she doing
Yeah.
that daughter heir of Andor bit again? Oh my gosh. And then, oh, she's a drunkard. She, caused she managed to get someone to, pay a ransom for her that she used herself and drank it all up and blah, 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 blah. And the guy that was holding a knife to her doesn't believe that she's the apprentice. I don't know how he would know what the daughter heir of Andor looks like enough to not believe it. But, that's a whole other question. Unless, okay, here's a thought. Could he be a dark friend and was given the description of these people that the Forsaken are trying to look for?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Who knows? It definitely doesn't figure into the plot for this.
No, it doesn't matter at all. We don't we don't know anything for sure by the end of it.
I think syndicated paintings, that go around. For sure.
Yeah.
But at any rate, he wants her to. Okay. So you're the Gleeman apprentice, as Tom says. You're the Gleeman's apprentice. Well, let's have a song then.
Yeah, come on, give it to us.
Matt's like, crap, this is not gonna go well. But it's Elaine. She is ready to go.
Yes. And it gives a suggestion of the hills of Tanchico, to which Tom is like, are you sure? And Elaine leans into it, is like, yeah, come on, do you know it, old man? Whoa, that crosses the line. So she starts singing. And then everyone else, of course, knows the song too. And they start singing along, and you learn what the hills of Tanchico are.
One
this is finally
enough. Three
is too many.
And two will bring a man to his knees.
Yes.
But so finally we get some boobies. I know, because everybody's like, oh, we have naked men, but now there's some boobie attention. So
yes, but they're still not naked. They're still just.
But there's a lot of groping.
Yes,
so.
lots of groping. Yeah. Which so funny to see her realization as she's seeing these people singing along and dancing and groping themselves. She's like, "Oh shit!" And Tom is like, "I told ya."
But she gets into it. She's game.
Yeah, which is great. So we have to call out a very special piece of love. Nikhil Kopakar, who was a part of the team with Lorne Balfe. He is a big time Wheel of Time fan. Before season 1 came out, he actually composed a song that was kind of like, here's the energy, here's the vibes of the Wheel of Time. And that actually got the attention of the team, and he got hired on as a composer and musician for the Wheel of Time, and he wrote The Hills of Tanchico, which is freaking incredible.
So incredible.
Original song for
song. Such a good song, such a catchy song.
Oh yeah,
I'm
definitely.
so excited that the soundtrack included this, so people got a little hint of it. And this is the reprise is coming, but for right now, Matt is so excited. That's my friend. Like, it's super cute. Like the vibes are good. It's a very short song until the reprise, but that's good, because 90 Even Men are now also having a lot of fun. And 90 even admits it, that, you know what, I think I might be having a good time in the first time in forever. And
which made me a little sad, but
yeah.
But she, it makes sense. She hasn't really had a lot of opportunities.
She always has to take care of someone.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's always there to be someone's wisdom. And now she's free of all of that. There's no, Matt's there, but not there immediately.
Yeah.
And so she has a chance to be something else.
To let her braid down.
Let her braid down.
Yep. And so they're laughing and smiling, and then it makes there's a moment of sadness again, and brings up Leandrin.
A little too loudly, as it turns out.
Yes, which is not a kind of a bad thing, but it kind of not, like, I don't know. It's driving the plot forward, because
the stranger from the next table said, Leandrin.
And
I can tell you about Leandrin.
Yeah, she's so old, and yet her ghost came.
Came the Lunalt estate.
Yes.
All signs point to the Lunalt estate. So yeah.
Yep.
And of course, there's also someone listening in as well who is Ispan, one of the Black Aja people,
Yes.
who's saying, "Ah, okay, this someone's hunting for us."
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Which, by the way, can we just comment? She is stunning.
She's gorgeous. Yeah.
Absolutely stunning. I am obsessed with her costuming, especially like the jewelry that she had on her hands as she's picking up the glass. She was also looking scared, like nervous, which I
Yeah.
thought was really interesting because she knows these are accepted. Like, why is she afraid of
They're
them?
still more powerful than her.
Yeah, but like they don't have control. So yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a little weird that she looked so scared.
I don't know.
But
There are people that believe in power, and if you see somebody more powerful, it doesn't matter
Yeah.
if they're
That's true.
trained or not.
Plus, who else is if these accepted have found them, then who else might be hunting as well?
Yeah.
That's
No,
true.
that's true. That's a good point. Yeah. Well, Landrin now goes into the room of Naomi and
That's right.
has completely shielded her as she's in bed and is just like, you know what? I've been experimenting. Do you think I can get this information from you? You know, I bet like that I know like you found something, huh? And Naomi is scared. And was like, oh my gosh, I was going to tell you the colors in the
Totally
Panarchs.
gonna tell you.
Totally. I just didn't have an opportunity to do so. It's in the Panarch's palace. I don't know where, but it's definitely there. And Leandrin is basically like, cool.
Yeah. And then she drops, "Oh, and I've got powerful friends who can help us."
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah. Now we know who those friends are and we know what you've been trying. So it's I gotta do what I gotta do. If I'm gonna be a Forsaken, I gotta take care of this problem because this is clearly a problem. And so shoots one of those power bullets through her head once again, but does not stomp on her head. So, you know, I feel like she's really grown as a person.
Yeah.
Right. Less rage here. This
Less
is
rage.
just a normal execution for her.
Yes.
And Ispan is right there.
Yeah.
And it kind of sees it.
It also looks scared again.
Yeah. And we understand fully why.
This one is understandable. Yeah, this one is way more understandable.
Yeah. So Ispan has some information for Leandrin,
Yes.
what she's just learned. So
Yes.
you know, she knows where the power lies here.
Yes. And Min and Nynaeve are making it away from the bar, pub, wherever they were drinking. They see
the night market, they called it, right? They called it the night market.
Yeah, they're in the night market, but like wherever they were, like
Oh,
whatever
yeah.
inn or whatever they were drinking at, they're in the night market now with like the spinning wheel of sparklers, which is
and they try to touch it, which is so cute. And they're like,
they're
"Oh no, it's hot."
giggling.
I know, right? Oh, it's so adorable.
Yeah, it's so cute. I love their bonding in this
Yeah,
moment.
it's like female bonding. That's just like a girls' night out.
Yeah. And in the fact that you know they make it into this, they are making it into the area, and Elaine, everyone's singing once again. Elaine and Matt and Tom are on tables, just like
being inconspicuous. And,
totally blending in.
Mhm.
I'm just so glad that Donal Finn was able to have an opportunity to sing because he deserves it. He has so much fun, and he's so talented, and I love that. So yeah, that's kind of fun. And they basically are like, "Hey, no, come here. We gotta let you know. We know where Leandrin is, so let's go." And then one of the guys that Matt was flirting with, as they're starting to leave, is like, hey, hi. I don't know where the collar is, but I got this bracelet. And they are now owners of the second bracelet. And Tom, of course, recognizes both the bracelet and is like, you know, like Yeah, I
I
know
made my
exactly what
lore
this
roll,
is.
and
Yes.
now I can say,
Right.
hey,
I
that
rolled
is the male Adam.
I rolled a dirty 20 and we got here and we know what this is. Like that here's all of the information that I know. And so yeah, it comes in and they're like, okay, now they know kind of what the plan is, what to do when they have this prize and they're a third of the way there.
And it's cute little like snip at Elaine, like, oh, aren't you an expert on Tanchico and you don't know what the original statue looks like? That
Yes.
was cute.
We're going to shift to the world of dreams, where Ispan is kind of waiting around for her patron, um, but instead she finds Mogedion, and it turns out that Ispan was actually Raven's plant. So
Mm-hmm.
Leandrin killed the wrong person. No
Oops.
problem. Mogedion's going to kill Ispan, which is
Yes.
too bad. We didn't see enough of her, but
Mhm.
uh, she kind of gets Ispan to dump everything that they know about the collar and the bracelets and what Leandrin is up to and her ambitions. And so,
And
she
then the
gets that
two
information.
accepted.
Yeah, and the two accepted, Elaine and Nynaeve. And so the very next scene is Mogedion going to their rooms, and she immediately spins a web of compulsion. So she's doing the mind control thing that Raven did, and now the girls are just women actually, since they're older here in
Yeah.
the show.
Yes.
Um, they are very eager to please now. They're very eager to answer all of Mogedion's questions, and Mogedion kind of grills them on what they've been up to. Uh, she notices that, or she confirms that they're just accepted, not Aes Sedai. There are no other Aes Sedai here. We're the only ones who
Yeah.
Swan trusts, and and Mogedion also notices that Nynaeve has blocked herself and asks her why. And Nynaeve says, I think I hate all of that power.
Yeah.
She says, you know what? In my time, we would have beaten that out of you, but it serves me for the time being.
Yes.
So she gets the information, and she also learns what they were after, the bracelets and
Hmm.
collar,
Well,
and
and she
that they,
asks if they know where the dragon is too, and they
yes.
say no, but we would tell you if we did.
Right, right.
And
So
that was interesting that was kind of dropped in there. I thought that was really
indeed, indeed. So Lanfear has a piece of information that Mogedion doesn't. And so, we see there's a lot of kind of rivalry and information guarding
Mhm.
yes,
from that. They're not a united front, these Forsaken.
not at
They're
all.
a bunch of squabbling characters that are going to get their asses handed to them because of
Yes.
that.
Yes.
You got to work together,
Right. Come
Yeah.
on now.
Perrin
Teamwork.
knows this. He will
Yes.
find that out.
We'll find
But
that out.
yeah,
But
uh,
they give away that, they found the second bracelet
yeah,
today
yeah.
and so they, I
Bring it to me.
loved
Yeah.
Magedian's little clever girl, like a big.
Mhm.
That was beautiful. I'm just waiting for Blue the raptor to come
Mhm.
come into the room. But she brings over, Nynaeve brings over the bracelet and then doesn't want to give
Yeah.
it
And I
back.
love it. She's still smiling.
Mhm.
Yeah, here it is.
Mhm.
I'm not letting it
A little,
go.
yeah, a little, acting in the eyes and the eyebrows, a little
Uh-huh.
twitching almost of like that power of like, wait a second, this is not what I want to do.
Mhm.
Yeah. And Mogedion's kind of taken aback that Nynaeve has the strength to resist her. Um, and so there's a little bit of warning here that Nynaeve is a force to be reckoned with,
Yes.
but
And
Mhm.
that it's
not this
that
moment.
she did something that the Black Asha could not, which
Yeah.
is interesting. And one last little bit, Megedion, scratches Nynaeve's cheek with the back of her ring, kind of like, "Hey, I marked you. Like this
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
your feedback. You got to give this up.
Yeah.
Like
And
just
and
like a bit."
I think it's part of that just pettiness too. It's
Oh,
like,
Mhm.
oh, you
absolutely.
defied me. You under my web of compulsion, you still tried to defy me. I'm gonna stroke your cheek and just draw a little blood because you
Yeah.
know what? That's the kind of
What's
lady
a
I
little
am.
blood between friends?
So little
Yes.
cut to and of course the thing is they're not going to remember this visit at all. It's just like
Yeah.
someone had the wrong room. That's all they're going to remember
Yep.
when Moghedien leaves. And sure enough, that happens, and they go, "Oh, we better get the bracelet to a safe place." Where's the bracelet?
Uh-oh.
So yeah, uh, they have lost the game that they made. The shadow is a little farther ahead. Luckily, the shadow is not at all coordinated.
No,
So,
thank goodness. All right, so let's head over to the waste then, shall we?
Okay.
So Egwene is getting punished. Well, not really punished, but like
Not at all punished. We should talk
yeah.
about this in the books.
Yes,
That's
yeah,
okay.
definitely going to talk about that. But she is,
She goes, "Yes, I lied. I'm not
I
really Aes Sedai. I said I would only go into the dream world when uh, you gave me permission and with your supervision, but no, I did it anyway. But there's something more important here.
yeah.
One of the Forsaken is after me, and we got to deal with this. How can we deal with this? So, we've cut to the chase here. We're not going to get into any recriminations about not obeying the rules. They've got a
Or
problem
even
to deal
lying
with,
about being an Aes Sedai
or even
at
lying.
all.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Like
yeah.
yeah. Like
Well,
none of this.
we'll
Yeah.
talk
We're gonna
about
talk
that.
about that later. But yeah. But there's no way that she can compete with the Forsaken in the dream world. However, she can compete in her own dreams. And so they're gonna try and give her some powers to let her sleep
Yeah.
better
And
because
and
this
let's
is
just give a
how
refresher. When we left off last episode, Egwene had kind of jumped towards the dreams of all of her different friends and kind of seen what they were going through. And the last one, she saw Rand sitting up on a mountaintop, and he was macking on Lanfear. And kind of gave her a look. And yeah, so she knows that the woman who's been tormenting her in her dreams is one of the Forsaken, and
yeah.
she's also visiting Rand in his dreams, which
Yes.
gives her a lot of not so happy feelings.
Yes, yes. And not so happy feelings that Moraine is now being punished with almost. Not really punished, but Lanfear comes in. Moraine is dreaming and Lanfear enters her dreams and is like, hey, this is like, what did you see in Ruidian? But also, like, you're supposed to keep Egwene away from Rand. Like, why aren't you like what? This is not what we agreed to. And Maureen is kind of like, well, I can't like Egwene is gonna do what she wants to do. All of these Two Rivers folk are very stubborn. She's not gonna do what she's forced to do. So I'm doing what I can, but Lanfear's like, okay, fine, whatever. But I'm sending Rand a little surprise, so let him handle it. Like, which is scary.
Yeah. Ominous.
Anything. Yes, ominous is the right word for it. For
Yeah,
sure.
and Lanfear gives a little barb saying she wants Rand to handle it, and I know that's difficult for you.
Yeah,
So,
because clearly Maureen's not handling any of it.
yeah.
But Rand and Avienda are attending the Aiel Garden. There's an overhang that lets the water stay, and all of this greenery, they're growing vertically, including the shops that Alsara is squashes that Alsara
The
is
little kid.
the little kid that Rand chased when they first got into the Cold Rocks hold. But Avienda also is like, we know more than just how to dance the spears. Just like, hey, let me show off my culture and what we know. And I think that was a really nice little moment. But also this interaction with Rand and Alsara is just so flipping cute.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Uh,
it's cute, and it also shows that Rand is listening. He's paying
yes.
attention to
Yeah.
Aviendha's lessons, and he's applying it. So,
Mhm.
you know, he thinks he sees a shovel when he's talking to Elsara, and he picks it up and says, "Hey, is this?" And she gets really offended. She's saying, "I'm training to be a maiden of the spear, and you've dishonored me by taking my spear." And you know, Rand is very serious and he
Yes.
responds with the appropriate gravity. He says, "You are right. I have toe. I have
For
obligation."
dishonoring my G,
Yeah,
you have
yeah,
my toe.
that's right. And you know, she sets a penance for him. You have to harvest my garden. When it comes up, she says, "Absolutely." And then she's happy. She takes her spear and she goes away.
She does a fancy little flip, but like she's
Yeah,
gonna
Uh-huh.
put
yeah.
it into the back, but of
That's
course
right.
there's no little slot, so
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
has to hold
And,
it.
and
It's
it's
so
a toy
cute.
spear, so
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It works. But you know, it's this practicing. You're
Hmm.
kind of seeing how much this is woven into the culture, that this is things
Yep.
that the children are playing, the games that they're playing, while also doing their work. And I
Yeah.
think
Mhm.
that's really
Yeah.
special.
And I think when we last saw Avienda and Elsara and Rand, you know, Avienda was just making fun of Rand, saying, you know, "I've got to teach you all this stuff, and
Yeah.
I've got to, you know, you're not going to learn anything. You're a wetlander," all of this stuff. And Avienda kind of sees this interaction. She's grudgingly admits,
Okay,
"Okay,
fine.
you handled
Mhm.
yourself well enough."
I guess.
Uh, but but in fact, he did a good job, and
Yeah.
he showed that he was cognizant of their traditions, and
Mhm.
kind of he could through a child be able to show the appropriate reaction, and you know that he did understand Jieto, which is the honor and obligation, the most important core
Values.
principle in
Yeah.
Isle culture. So
Yeah. Um, Now Egwene is learning how to push the wise ones out of her dream, or at least attempting to.
yeah,
It's clearly been a while. She's trying super hard, and all of a sudden, Bayer and Mullane leave. They do their little thing, and she's like, "Yeah, I did it." But then she also disappears, and turns out it was Lanfear that kicked them out of her dream and tied Egwene into the wheel, just like Rand was. And Lanfear is just like, "Oh, did you like what you saw last night, or did you
Mhm.
prefer when he was a shepherd boy?" Um, and it's like, clearly Lanfear is not over
yeah.
Egwene being
Well,
a
you
part
know,
of his life.
Yeah.
we talked about Moghedien being petty. Lanfear's being just as petty over
She's being
jealousy.
like
Yeah.
jealous, yeah, a different
Yeah,
Yeah.
type of
Mhm.
petty.
different type of petty.
Yeah. But thankfully that brass pin
Yeah.
is
Well,
helpful.
yeah, yeah. So it drops and wakes Egwene up, but it does so at a really interesting time. It's like, if he knew you were hurting me,
Yes.
dot dot dot. And I gotta feel like Lanfear knows that that would kill her with Rand.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Rand would just be turned against her totally if that was if he knew what she was
Yeah.
doing. So her pettiness will have consequences. So
Yes.
that's the threat.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Uh,
But thankfully Egwene gets brass pinned out,
mhm.
and gets knocked out of the dream. Um and
And
Go ahead.
even with that kind of confrontation, you know, she's ready to try again. The wise ones are saying, "Okay, look, when it's your dream, you just have to believe. You have to
Mhm.
believe in your control. That is the key
Yes.
to defeating Lanfear here." And she's ready. Let's
Yep.
go again. I
Let's do
need
it
to learn
again.
this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Which, that strength, Egwene's strength, is, kind of her defining characteristic.
Yeah.
If you had to narrow it down into one thing, and this idea that whatever happens, I'm gonna take after it. I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
We're gonna get it going. And I think that's pretty cool. It's pretty
Mhm.
cool. Maureen is doing her, I don't know, brooding,
She's very broody these days
yes. And she
after
she
Ruidian.
she hides the Sakarnan from Rand. Kind of, oh, what are you, I don't know, what are you talking about? Huh? and and Rand is like, what did you see in the rings, Moraine? Do I go mad? She says, sometimes. Do I kill Egwene? Sometimes. Do I kill you? Sometimes. I thought we were supposed to come out knowing more. Well, I do. I know what that is. That's the Sakarnan. And so clearly this information gets, their relationship has changed a lot over these seasons, but especially now Rand almost feels like an equal to Moraine, and is able to kind of have this like, hey, I know you're trying to keep a secret from me. I know you're trying to do like whatever this is, this like the let's talk about it. Can we use your words, please? And Moraine gets a little bit vulnerable, I think. Is just kind of like, how do you handle this much power? Because she was almost on the verge of burning out, pulling it through the Sakarnan, and still wasn't to the point that Rand, like the amount of power that Rand has. And they're talking about the differences between the powers for men and women. And
let's note this down for the book. We should definitely interrogate this a little bit.
Yes.
But I think it's taking a different direction.
Yeah, but it's a similar conversation to what they had on the mountain when they were traveling to Ruidian. This idea of like, don't submit. You need to like, you can't, if you're a male channeler, you can't stop fighting it. And he says, sometimes I can't stop myself from reaching for it. And he just is kind of staring off into the distance, and the earth is shaking and the jars are falling over, and he, is kind of losing this control. And finally it stops, and Moraine looks nervous for the first time. Really deeply nervous. The face acting here is flawless, of course, because it's Rosamund Pike, but still. Don't submit.
Yeah, and let's remember that, when they were walking over, the scene you talked about, Kathy, Moraine was like, why are you training with this sword? You've got to be channeling every day, all day. That's how you're gonna fight the Dark One. The sword nonsense is irrelevant, and he just wanted something he could control. And now she's going, well, like, how do you control this much power? And that goes back to even Nynaeve's thing that this much power is too much. I think I hate it. So we have sort of a reckoning here, and I love the reversal. You called it a moment of vulnerability, and it is. It's also kind of a moment of honesty. The pretense that Moraine knows what she's doing and has a plan, and is the way, has the way for Rand to succeed and needs to guide him. That's just fallen completely away. They are completely winging it here. And they're both aware of it now, and at least they can be honest about it, which is revolutionary for Moraine.
Yes. She has somebody that's kind of, especially, I think there's something to be said about the fact that she has somebody that she can make this connection with for the plan for the future that she no longer has with Swan. Because for 20 however many years, that was kind of, her and Swan were here to, find the Dragon Reborn, and Swan was going to do her thing, and Moraine was going to do her thing, and that was going to be like the overarching, 20,000 feet in the air plan.
And they thought that they knew, because they had foreknowledge, they could be in control, when in fact they could absolutely not be in control.
No idea what was going to happen. And that says, I think, a lot about, too, why Moraine is willing to kind of have this conversation and be able to, like, okay, I need to plan with someone else. I need to have a partner in this overarching plan. I can't give everything away because I'm still an Aes Sedai, still Moraine. I can't do everything, but we need to talk a little bit about kind of what's going on.
Yeah, I think she's on shaky ground, actually admitting that the tower needs to bend the knee to Randall Thor. And
Yes.
so this idea that they were gonna, be allies or walk in together side by side, but it's like, no, they actually have to bow. They actually have
Yeah.
Yep.
to be lesser. And I'm sure that's something she's struggling with as well.
Yes. Yep.
There is a submission that's required here. It's an inequality of power. And for an institution that's been around for thousands of years, saying that it is the hub on which the wheel of time turns, essentially.
Yes.
The tower is the spoke, or not the spoke, the axle.
Yeah.
That is hard to let go of. And Moraine is a representative, and Swan is the leader of that organization. That's not something that comes easy to them, but this is the end times. This is where
Yes.
everything is new and everything breaks, and the pattern is going to weave itself in a different way, and none of them have prepared, no matter how long they think they've prepared.
Yes. Yes.
So
yeah.
Fun, crazy stuff, the end times,
Indeed. So one last scene in the waste, and this was a lot. So Rand and Egwene are kind of having their final argument. Egwene comes in and is like, "Hey, Lanfear's a Forsaken. What the heck?" And Rand is like, "I know, I should have told you. I'm sorry. I'm a brat." and yet he has a point too. He comes in and he's like, "You know what? You basically like have been talking with the wise ones. You haven't even talked to me at all. Like we have not been together at all. Like we're living in this same room, but you're always off with the wise ones and leaving me alone. Like you haven't even given me another thought." And Egwene fires back with, "Well, do you love her?" And there's silence.
Yeah, that means yes.
Yeah, that's it. That's a yes. And then she's like, "Okay, so it's already happened then, the madness." And Rand is like, we both know the truth, Egwene.
If that makes it easier for you to take.
Right? Okay, cool. You don't want me. Even back in the Two Rivers, there was always something that you wanted more. And even now, I am the Dragon Reborn and I'm not enough. Ugh. So emotional. Like he reaches up and he's cradling her face and they're both crying. They're seeing that this moment of growth as individuals and the paths that they are on. Egwene is seeing what, the wise one said. This is not, this path is not for her. She is doing something differently. And that Rand acknowledges this, like, "Hey, I'll always respect that about you," which I think is a really mature, like grown up thing to do. Like, yeah, we're not together anymore, but you have this moment of like, it's okay to want more, which I think is really special. But then Egwene says, "Did you know that she was doing what she was doing to me this whole time?" And he's like, wait, what? Huh? He clearly
this is
had
the
no
thing
idea.
that could have totally, man, if she had started with that,
right? A totally different conversation. But I think Egwene, like when she started this, I think that she didn't think that Rand didn't know. I think there was a part of her that
she was definitely trying to lead up to that.
Yeah, because
it was verifying some other things first.
Yeah.
I totally get that. And, her instinct, what she told Lanfear is like, if he knew what you were doing, you would be so dead. And, he was surprised. Unfortunately, we don't get to see the aftermath of that because Now Lanfear's a little surprised that she's sending Rand shows up. It
Yeah,
is Samael himself with some
with
dark friends.
yep, coming through a gateway,
Yeah.
which like okay, we didn't have a little moment here.
Yeah.
Like we'll get into the battle, but somehow Lanfear managed to convince Samael to come. Like, how stupid could she be? Because how did she even know that he would be able to take a full grown male Forsaken in battle and not get hurt? Like, was she watching? Was she ready to come in and like protect him? Like, this seems like a flawed plan. I'm just
Mm.
putting that out there.
Unless Samael was, she called him the weakest, if he was just so weak that
Yeah, but
she knew that he was underestimating Rand completely. I mean, it's a lousy plan in a
yes.
show full of lousy plans, let's
It's
be honest.
true. But also he comes out and he calls Rand Luce Theron. And
Yeah,
so he knew what to expect, and yet it still wasn't enough.
yeah.
Like, okay,
Like, I
cool.
see why you got that scar, dude.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. What the heck? I did love the fire hammer that he kind of
Yeah,
had.
Yeah, that
Like
was
that
lovely.
neat.
was so epic. That was really cool. And manages to push and Rand's down and Egwene is down, but don't worry because Avienda comes in. She's got her veil from her shawl and she's got these fire spears. I don't need no physical spears. I've got my fire spears. And
That's
is just dancing the spears in the way that she knows how. And
She stabs Samael in the back all the way through, runs him through, like one of the Forsaken, but
yeah,
he's
yeah.
a doofus apparently.
Yes,
And
he
he's not dead right yet,
no,
but
not
yeah.
not yet. But Rand manages to pull up a shield and does this thing where like the power is like cycling through his hand. He's looking away.
Mhm.
Samael is behind, like epic, the most epic like visual scene going on
Yeah.
here as he's just like holding as the power with
Yeah.
the taint, not the taint, the
The
corruption
Mhm.
corruption, yeah.
like
Mhm.
cycling through, and then all of a sudden
Yeah, so he's weaving something big and he's blocking off Samael's attacks. And you can tell he's sort of like caught up in it, like something has taken a hold of him. He
yeah,
is doing something that only he is capable of doing. And yeah, lightning just starts raining down, blowing up buildings, blowing Samael out uh, into the rubble. Uh, and then when the dust clears, he kind of gets a sense of what he has done, which is rain ruin around everything. Um,
yes, yeah. It's and unfortunately, um, there's some negative aspects of this because the buildings that he tore down around him, Alcera was upstairs.
yeah, the little kid.
The little girl, and Rand runs to find her, basically like pulling the rocks off. And Avienda says, life is a dream from which we must all wake. And Rand is not taking any of that, and is trying to force her to breathe. Shooting power, you see the corruption in there too. Like you can't even, just so many weaves, like trying to go in. And Egwene and Avienda both are just super emotional. Death
And
can't be healed.
yeah, that is a maxim of the power, although we saw that happen in the first season.
Listen,
I
we're
don't
not
know.
talking about
We're not
that.
talking about that.
That
That
part
didn't
does not
happen.
exist.
Okay.
Whatever. Yeah,
Death
we're moving
can't
on.
be
Can't be
healed.
healed. And Rand is shouting as he's holding this child, I can do anything. What does the prophecy say? And he's crying and laughing at the same time. I bring destruction. Pause, but also creation and more and more. And this essence of he can't let it go. The power is just going through, and then you see a hand with a ring. Moraine kind of holds his shoulder, and he finally releases the power, and then Rand and Moraine just kind of stare at each other, and it's so powerful that this could have been the end of the episode, but it's not. And that says a lot about kind of like the pacing of this and the understanding, because here was this really poignant moment between Maureen and Rand, especially after the conversation that they had just had. The power, don't let go, like don't give up. Yeah, you can't do this, but don't give up with what you need to do to change the future. And yeah, whew, I loved Sarah so much. She was so
right?
cute.
She's so cute.
And now he has to like harvest the squashes because she's dead and she can't.
Yeah. Well,
oh my gosh.
good thing he was a farmer to begin with.
Right? yeah. A shepherd,
Yeah.
taking care of the sheps.
The sheps. Yeah.
That was
My
a cute part that
sister's
we.
a goat herder.
Yeah.
So you're a shepherd. You take care of sheep?
Yeah. Close enough.
Something like that.
Yes. Yeah. That was really cute. We
That
didn't
was
mention
cute.
it, but that was really sweet little
That was
moment of
amazing.
humanity, which makes it even worse that, you get this bonding with her at the beginning. Like, thanks, Rafe, for completely
Yeah.
digging out my heart. Just
You
like,
you were set up to feel pain. That's what
Yeah.
happened.
Oh,
yep.
definitely. Mhm.
Yep. Lots of it. Lots of it. Okay. So final little location. Let's head to the Two Rivers. They are dragging a wounded Perrin inside into I'm assuming it's the Wine Spring Inn. And Loyal is like, you better go get the Aes Sedai. And they're like, just kidding. We can't, because she is in rough shape. She
Remember, the
cannot
White
heal.
Cloaks have riddled her with arrows. She's got like 9 of them sticking out of her right now, but she's still there.
Yeah. Yeah, still alive.
Well, the one power gives you extra stamina,
That's
Yeah,
right.
so-
well, especially
and the warder bond.
Yeah, it was like she can take it. She only has one warder to pull from, but like, she's clearly in pain. And Maxim is, this moment of bonding. The two of them were really at odds, in the last couple of episodes, and I think there's almost like there's this layer of regret and guilt as Maxim's like looking at her, and it's very poignant. It's very, very meaningful. And Perrin is doing his best, shall we say. And Egwene's mom, Mr. Selvier, and Fail are taking care of him, giving him poultices, trying to get him, what they can, since they don't have an Aes Sedai to heal. And Perrin acknowledges that yes, he saved the girls, but couldn't save Natty. And Fail says, my dad always says that a leader can either take care of the living or weep for the dead, but not both. And it's that moment of they're clearly getting closer together. They're learning more about each other and bonding. And then you hear a little whistle that you might recognize that we haven't seen for a while. And it's Fane on the mountain top with a group of Trollocs and Dark Friends, just kind of looking off into the Two Rivers space. So Fane has arrived.
You will remember Padan Fane was the alleged peddler who, in the very first episode of the very first season, brought the Trollocs down onto the Two Rivers and set this whole story off.
And now he's doing it again.
Yeah, he is still there. And he's got both Trollocs and human dark friends with him. They're standing up and they're there. They're gonna cause some havoc, you can tell. And
yeah,
they're
ready to cause some trouble. And then it's just Fail and Perrin hanging out. Perrin's clearly still not healed, in pain. And Fail talks about how the Two Rivers is a special place, and Perrin wants to learn more about her. And so we get this backstory. She's from Saldea, and parents were generals. My brother and I were soldiers. But it also turns out that Mother was a dark friend and wanted Fail to swear the oaths. And she was worried that if she stayed, she would turn into a dark friend, and she didn't want to do that. And unfortunately, she also told her brother, um, who then confronted mom, who killed him. And, she's really like, Fail is feeling that this was her fault.
Yeah.
And
She
parents
got a
like,
member of her family killed.
yeah. And parents like, aha, I know the feeling. And Fail's like, you couldn't possibly, to which parents like, bet. So
Not quite that way, but yeah.
I actually killed my family member,
he
on
talks about his
accident.
wife.
Yeah.
Um,
And
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 yeah, go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
Yeah, she has an interesting reaction. He tells her about how they were fighting the Trollocs, and both of them were fighting together, and he by accident, but it was his axe that did it. He killed his wife, and uh, the first thing Fail asks is, "Did she fight well?" And
Yeah.
I says, "Yes, yes, she did." And said, "Then you have to honor that.
Yeah.
Don't let this guilt erase the fact that she chose to fight and she fought well."
Yeah. Don't
Um,
take away her honor. Take care
yeah,
of the living.
yeah, yeah. So again, these kind of military maxims that she seems to have, um, and it's affirming. Perrin has already gone through the kind of motions of letting go, but now he's also letting go of his guilt, and he's sharing
Yeah.
that, and he's being told to move on from it in a way that he
He
can
can
hear.
accept.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Cause his friends were kind of also like, you're still mourning, not
yeah.
like overtly, but like,
They're waiting for him, but yeah,
yeah,
they don't know how to help him through it. And Fail's more direct. Fail
yeah,
kind of says, "You dishonor her by letting your guilt override what she did.
yep,
Don't do that. Honor her instead."
yeah.
And
And
then she kind of shifts and she says, she worries about the darkness from her family, and what if she was there, and what if she swore the oaths? She thinks that maybe that's in her. And Perrin is very, very sweet.
so
He
sweet.
says there is so much darkness in the world, but when he looks at Fael, all he sees is light. Man,
Yes.
what a line!
So
Dude! Oh,
pretty.
right here, right here.
I
Dude, man.
so
So,
good.
he's in.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, for sure. So you see Dane, who's clearly injured and drunk, and he's kind of sitting, drinking, feels like very
as he
tousled,
does.
as he does. And there's Natty's body hanging on the
Uh,
pole, and Dane's almost having this like regret almost. But don't worry, because the reinforcements have arrived. Now, don't forget, these are the reinforcements that they heard about, which is why they went to go get the Cothans from the camp, because the reinforcements were coming. And it's Patton Fane, who is looking not nearly as clean as he was earlier.
yeah,
Him and all of the other humans are just covered in blood.
yeah. But they're dressed as white cloaks now. They are
Yes.
acting like, hey,
I
we're your reinforcements.
Right. I wonder where they came from.
Uh,
Yeah. But uh, you know, he's like, we ran into some Trollocs with trouble with Trollocs, but no trouble. I hear you've been having some trouble with the kind folks in the Two Rivers here, and I'm here to help. Like, I know these people. I'm gonna help you kill them. I mean, take care of him. Bring him to the light. Yes, that's what I meant. We're gonna get this taken care of.
Justice. Yeah.
Ha!
So, bad guy, obviously. He has infiltrated the White Cloaks, and he is taking advantage of their drunken and grief-addled commander. So, bad situation here.
Yeah.
Uh, and yeah, here we are. And then so now we go to Alana, who is feeling her death approaching. She's saying, Maxim, get ready, it's time.
It's time.
Yeah.
And he
And Max,
says
of course,
no.
yeah, doesn't want to let go.
You're all I have left.
Yeah.
And they this moment of, you know, they clearly are meaningful. Like they're
Yeah.
having they've forgiven each other. You know,
Yes. Yes.
the grief has morphed into something else, and it's different. And they get visited by the Cawthon girls who,
Bode and Eldrin.
yes,
You know,
who,
they kind of reminded me of the two little girls in The Shining, you know. They're lovely. They're lovely
yeah,
little girls, but
the
there's something
casting
about
is
them being,
great. Like, I want to know if they're
yeah.
actual siblings,
They
because they
are.
look,
Their
they are
last names
okay.
are the same.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was wondering because they look very similar, and so that's really cool.
Yeah.
That how neat is that they both got to be on set together, like in this. Yeah. Anyways,
Super cute.
and they're like, yeah, you know, I heard that you guys, you know, you got hurt because you were coming to save us, and we want to come and thank you. And Max is like, Alana, look, you love getting thanked. It's like, that's so funny. Like, it was so cute. So cute.
I love that.
And they come closer, and there's this moment of Maxim realizing, like, oh, wait a second, they looked like, hey, you know, like, let's learn about healing. You know, I thought I said I could heal. And Maxim's like, yeah, no, they can't heal themselves. Like, you can only heal other people. And like, they kind of look at each other, and Maxim's like, wait a second. Wait, can you channel? And Alana pulls it together and walks them through being able to, you know, embrace the power, and then helps her heal. You know, the blood becomes blood, flesh becomes flesh, like knitting it all together, and she could breathe again. She's alive, and it's Alana, you know, tells Maxim, hey, I told you so. I told you there were channelers in this mountain. And that's kind of, you know, great, because Alana's still alive. Hooray!
Yeah.
And
yeah, I was a little worried for a minute about her.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that they were able to heal her.
Yes, I agree.
This episode had a lot of worrying about her.
Yeah. Well, and especially because we've seen how, you know, how many stabbings through the heart she could take.
Yeah.
And then clearly this many arrows was too much. But of course, you know, she couldn't heal herself. And so that makes it a little bit difficult.
Yeah. Happily, we have two others who can do it.
Yes, just in time too. You know, because Alana was healthy enough to be able to walk them through and kind of guide them a little bit. And then Fail and Perrin are you know, hanging out again. Still
lots of getting to know you stuff.
Lots of getting to know
revealing the secrets.
Like 20 questions.
Yeah. But also like, hey, those golden eyes, huh? And Perrin's like, you don't find it strange? And I'm like, I do, but I don't mind strange. You know, super cute. And you know, Perrin learns a little bit more about, like, oh, hey, you know, are you serious about the horn? I'm just asking, like, that's why you left, but like, did you really leave? Like, I know you ran away to get away from your mom, but did you leave to find the horn? Or like, what's going on here? And Perrin's like, I got a surprise for you. Like, and then pulls out the drawing of Matt with the horn. It's like, and Fail, you can see her just kind of processing this information. Like, wait a second, you let me go on and on and on about the blasted, and he's going to say Horn of Valir, but instead he kisses her. Or she was going to say Horn of Valir, and instead Perrin kisses her and is like, Perrin Ibarra, that's not fair. Like, does this
with a smile.
And then crawls all over him, and they start making out. And then Alana's like, I'm so sorry for interrupting, but you needed some healing, and you could tell, like, the smile on everyone's faces, like, it's so the balance in this show is something really special, because we're going through, as we talk about each of these stories, we're going through in like grouping. So we're not talking about like where these line up. But like this scene comes right before the Hills of Tanchico like reprise,
Sure. Yeah.
and comes right before the Rand and Egwene breakup, and so you're seeing this really delicate balance that as an episode has kind of the ups and downs that lets you keep, you know, in ultimately in a middle mood, so that you have the really high highs and you have the really low lows, but it's balanced in such a way that you don't ever feel completely like, oh my gosh, this is too sad, I can't keep watching, kind of, or oh my gosh, why is it like I don't care about this relationship, or like it's not serious enough for me. Like it's the pacing is something really special. And you know, we talk, a lot of people talk about kind of being able to have more episodes, and why, yes, I wish that there were more episodes. There's something really special about keeping the tightness of just the 8, and keeping that pacing the way that it is.
And you know what? I think I might have argued a little in the previous seasons, but this season I feel like they're giving just enough space to the scenes that I'm a lot more satisfied, I guess, with how things are shaping up. And you know, it could also be that there is a lot of book fan service going on this season.
Yeah, there is.
So I'm happy about that.
Yeah,
but
to be fair,
but I think your pacing notes are really are on the mark there.
Yeah, and I've talked to a lot of show only viewers, and they're not feeling like the fan service is making them miss out. Like there's no like, wait, that seems like a secret that I don't know. Where is that coming from? Type of a thing. And I think that's really special.
Yeah.
That's and we have these moments of breathing. So the last little scene in the episode starts with what feels like 3 minutes of greenery. And obviously it's not really, but this moment of like, okay, because right before this, we were in the waste. Maureen and Rand are having this moment again, breathing space. There's these moments of nothing happening, just like, and then we split to the two rivers. You hear the sound of the Waygate opening. Then Fael and Bane and Chiad are running up to overlook the Waygate. And there's a whole bunch of Trollocs coming in. And I think it's Chiad says, soon Golden Eyes will have to lead his people to war, whether he wants to or not. And
what a way to set up episode 7.
Yeah. Like, wow. It's and the choice of having this be that last bit and leading into 7 is this conversation of pacing. Each episode is linked with the next one. It's not, it's foreshadowing what's going to happen in the next episode, but it's also like having each episode is encompassed in itself, but it is connected to all of the others too. And I don't know. I just think it's really, really well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the end of the episode and book spoilers. Yeah.
Yes. Let's blow the bloody, spoiler horn of Valir. All right. So, Ishi in the Dreams, 95 years ago. I think so. In the books, the Dark One is able, Ishi's touching the world, but only in dreams. And so I think that this is kind of that showcase that Ishi was able to touch dreams in a way, that had started. It was starting, we'll say 100 years ago. And so it's, taken 100 years for him to, break free-ish and die again. But we're seeing the connection of it. But it also makes sense as to why Fares was in promotional stuff and listed in the episode, and just from this one little bit is enough, and it's sad because he was so good.
Well, we already had an episode that talked about, well, if he's really dead, I think the
Yes.
Dark One still wants him to be Nedless and everything. So I think we're getting an establishment of at least a possibility that he'll be back. Like
Of
he
some
will
sort,
be
yeah.
back in active duty, not just in a flashback. So, we got him back here, which was a surprise. I didn't clock that he was in this season, but it's cool to see.
Yeah.
And just keeps us, it keeps us as viewers remembering that, oh yeah, this is a player. In fact, it's one of the
Yes.
biggest players, and he has a history back in there, and probably that means that, well,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, and book readers are gonna say he has a future in this as well.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's been already, the seeds have been planted for that, so I like that.
Yeah, it's really nice. Okay, next up, Tanchico versus Val and Luca. So I think there's a very good chance that we won't see the traveling circus.
Oh gosh, no,
And
not at all.
all of that. That's a very Tom Bombadil vibe there.
You can
just cut
take
it
that
out. And so this
Yeah, it's
kind
very
of
convoluted.
and this kind of replaces that, Elaine doing the weird things that Elaine is gonna do. There's no sparkly, onesie, but she gets to go dance and sing a body song, and I think that's
she's not going to tightrope walk, but yeah, that's all right. And I liked this. This had a vibe. There were lots of different Elaine scenes in the books where you really got a sense that she was escaping the confines of being the daughter heir and being able to just have fun and go out and just like sing body songs and like do crazy things and drink and all that. And this was that. And then of course, we see Tom come in and
save
her and drop the little hint that he knew her mom.
Yes.
And book readers who read while the books were coming out, there was a lot of speculation of whether Tom was actually Elaine's father. And I think the books, where the books landed was no, but he was a father figure. He felt like, and he felt that way. And she was too young, but she was kind of still remembered.
She was a baby. Yes. Yeah. Although, like, I hated that part, like the weird flirty father figure incestual vibe that happened with that, the daddy issue
thing. Come on.
Yeah, like, listen, there is nothing wrong with zaddies, like, don't get me wrong, but it was a little too much in the books for me.
Fair enough.
Not gonna kink shame. I'm not going to kink shame, but still,
to be fair, I don't think even in the book it was portrayed as a kink. It was portrayed as a, I am my mother's rival, and I'm going to assert control over the things she thought she had control over.
Which, to be fair, could be seen as a kink, but that's a whole other. That's a whole different podcast.
What isn't a kink?
Right, everything's a kink. Yeah. But anyways, so I like this vibe, this way for Tom to kind of interact with Elaine and save
I just
her.
like that he's back. I miss him.
Yeah, me too. I was super excited.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. And I like that they're giving Elaine, her little nitpicky, she's giving us a lecture about Tanchico, but it doesn't make it so hitting it on the head, because so many people just disliked her personality for being as know-it-all, kind of Hermione-esque type thing. And I'm not getting that same
The
feel.
actress is so charming too.
She's
that
so
it's sort of
cute.
like,
Oh my god,
so charming.
You can let so much go.
Yeah, well, and I like that she kind of used this knowledge for like in a way that she didn't ever really use it in the books. It was always like informational. But here she's like, listen, I know what their accents are. I know, you
Yeah.
know, the songs, I know how they're acting, I know the importance of a veil, like using this in a real life way as opposed to just being, you know, a book nerd.
Yeah,
I think
for
also
sure.
makes a big difference there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um
One more thing about this
yes.
in the books is when they went to Tanchico, that was when they started hanging out with Egyanin, the
Oh
The
and
Shan
yeah.
so
Shan
yeah, and so that was
disgraced
kind of that.
captain.
Yeah, exactly. And so that was like Nynaeve hated her instantly, you know, but then, you know, was able to get over that prejudice. You know, and so it's kind of sad we don't get to see that kind of growth. Maybe it'll be
Yeah.
Yes.
later,
Yeah,
but
maybe later. Maybe later. Yeah. Yeah, cuz there's something like this season, you know, season 2 was very much Xianxin heavy,
mm,
and there's barely, like, there hasn't been
There's
anything of them
nothing.
in
Yeah.
this,
mm,
which kind of tracks with, you know, book 3
Right.
didn't really have anything Xianxin, and
mm-hmm,
then it came back in book 4, so it's possible that the Xianxin might come back for season 4 when they
mm,
go down to tier, or maybe not, I don't know, but
yeah,
either way, like it makes sense to not have them here yet.
yeah.
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 um Okay, so heading over to the waist, not punished. Egwene not having punishment.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
right. Because that was one of the best scenes in the book when she had to meet her toe,
Yeah.
and they're
Yes.
just so proud of her and her character growth and her
Yeah,
determination, and it's just like batted away, like, oh, you lied to us,
Yeah.
okay, whatever.
I know. But also
Yeah.
it was a shorter period of lying.
It was.
And a shorter like period of, you know, identity politics, identity
Because she
theft.
lied to them and broke her promise like that
Yeah.
night,
Yeah, yeah. So like,
like
okay,
less
it's
than
not as
24 hours.
yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Uh
there's an Aiel saying in the books, which is take what you want and then pay for it.
yeah.
And the idea is that Egwene needed to do the things she needed to do,
Mm,
but she's also willing to face the consequences of having done that. She'll say,
Yeah.
I will take the punishment for having lied to you, for having disobeyed you when I was in the role of a student to your teacher. You know, in
mm,
the books, this was kind of a big deal, and it showed her complete integrity to upholding the laws and customs, which of
Yeah.
course, you know, we know from reading the books that she becomes Amerlin, and that was like, you know, I am the law, and I am upholding the law, and I'm willing to absorb all of the you know, things that I need to do as a
Yeah.
result of that, as well as you know, the things that the laws that I must break, but also the consequences I must face for having
mm.
broken the laws, because I
Right.
believe that the institutions are important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And there's a layer of that, you know, being set up with her time with the wise ones. And so it'll be interesting to see how this works and if there is an element of that learning that's going to happen maybe later,
Hmm.
not because of this specific instance, which, you know, it kind of it works out. We don't have, you know, an episode to have her run in circles for,
Right.
you know,
Do
all
useless
night.
work or do
Yeah,
whatever.
Hmm.
Right.
digging
Yeah.
Yeah.
holes and stuff. Like we don't have the space in this story. And so
Hmm.
it makes sense to, okay, let's have this growth happen somewhere else,
Yeah.
in a way that will, you know, make it just as
Yeah.
poignant, but not take up as much time.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I think the focus is on Egwene being unbreakable, basically,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
So like she can face adversity, you know, more than anyone else can take,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
she can come through it stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is kind of her arc. It's less of a I will absorb the best of every culture that I encounter and use it to make uh, a channeling culture that is far more expansive than ever
Yes.
before.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, but that was kind of the book arc, which is wonderful, but it's also a huge sprawling thing.
Yes. Yeah.
So
It's more than just a little bit. Yeah, for sure. So McGettian and Nynaeve having their little
Hmm.
moment and little power fight.
yeah.
Um, it's seeing, conversations about the block and conversations about, how powerful she is and able to push against McGettian, um, setting up like this powerhouse that Nynaeve is gonna be. Um, and yeah, well, yeah, I can't say. We'll talk about that in the future in the
Well,
future
yeah, I
episode.
mean, I think we can say it because we're in book territory that,
Hmm.
the thing that we're all sort of looking towards and looking to see is that Tanchico is the place where Nynaeve proves that she can, strength for strength, match one of the
Hmm.
Forsaken and
Yeah,
Right.
even beat one of the Forsaken.
yeah,
Hmm.
And, we'll see if that happens. But, it is over this male Adam thing.
yeah,
And, I think if Rafe is looking at people's like iconic scenes from the book,
yeah,
that's one of them.
yeah,
So we'll see how that manifests.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Well, and it shows that this power came out of the desire and the need that she has to protect her people too.
Yeah,
It wasn't going to get the bracelet. It wasn't, like, oh, let me tell you all of this information and what we're looking for and stuff. It was handing it over in
yeah,
a way that would make it unfortunate
yeah.
for
Well,
to
it's
to
it's a
let.
direct
Hmm.
threat to Rand,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
Rand is
Hmm.
under her protection.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Nynaeve is going to protect Rand, and
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
God pity Mogideon when
Right.
that happens.
Hmm.
Seriously, that's what
Yeah,
she gets for spitting in the food and making those
Yeah.
mouth noises.
that's right.
Ugh. Ugh. Okay, so you wanted to talk about side R and side in.
Yeah, yeah. So Moraine and Rand have a really interesting conversation about control and whether you fight versus surrender. And of course, in the books, it's very clearly established that Saidar and Saidin are different powers.
Yep.
You
Hmm.
try to you try to control Saidar, the female part, uh, the way you would Saidin, and it overwhelms you. It's like an ocean. You can't control
Yeah.
the ocean. Whereas, like,
Hmm.
the metaphor is like, I surrender to the waves and I can ride the waves. I
Yeah.
can ride the currents. So, the ocean is vast. I embrace its vastness, and in that way, I can, by submitting, I end up controlling,
Yeah.
which is what Moraine tried to. That was her aha moment when dealing with Rand. It's like dealing with Rand is like dealing with Saidar. I
Yeah.
Hmm.
can't try to control him. I have to just sort of surrender to what he is, and then I can influence him.
Well, and that's the
Yeah.
same thing that Maureen saw with Egwene too. Is like I can't
Yes,
force Egwene, and like
Hmm.
totally.
telling that to Lanfear, like I can't force anybody. Like that's not
Yeah.
going to happen. So yeah,
And then, Rand is now saying, okay, you were about to be swept away by the power of the Sakarnan, which is, basically the female Choden Kal. Uh, and he's saying, don't surrender to it then, just fight
Hmm.
it.
yeah,
And now that would be like oh, Rand, you silly boy, Saidar and Saidin aren't the same. You're giving fish can't teach birds to swim, and birds can't
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
teach fish to fly. What the metaphor from the book, which Viren actually pokes holes in, which I
Yes.
love.
And so
But
did Suan in
yeah, yeah,
season
yeah,
one.
Yeah, yeah,
But
that's
the
right.
moon or the fish touches the moon's reflection every night in the
yeah,
ocean or something like
That's
that.
lovely. Yeah,
yeah. So
but
good.
but but so I wonder if in the show, you know, we got introduced to the notion in the last episode, where in the Ruidian episode rather, that Lanfear was trying to get at a power that everybody could use equally, and it turned out to be the Dark One. Oops. But maybe the orthodoxy in this show that Saidin and Saidar are different is actually not true. And maybe
Mm,
Rand is saying something like, hey, uh, if it gets too much, seize it, control it,
mhm,
fight with it, and in fighting you can do something with this vast amount of
Yeah.
power. Uh, I wonder if that is something that uh, is useful to Moraine,
Yeah,
that she'll be
maybe.
mhm,
able to when she uses this Akarnan,
mhm.
which seems like it's being set up.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, it, she'll be able to do.
Yeah. Yeah,
So treat
maybe.
it like Saidin, not
Yeah.
Saidar.
Yeah. Maybe. Maybe. Okay, and then finally Alana. So she's clearly hanging out in Two Rivers. There's talk about, is she going to bond Perrin,
Mm,
which would kind of not necessarily ruin, but pull away from like multiple
Yeah,
plot points in the future.
mm,
Um, or is there going to become a point where Rand is going to reconnect with Alana and they're like
mhm,
Alana's going to try and bond Rand because there's that whole thing of like
mhm,
when an Aes Sedai bonds a male channeler, like the control and the power dynamic is very different and like what does that look like? Or are they just cutting that plot point
yeah.
forever,
yeah.
which I
They might
would
just
not
cut
be
it
sad
out.
about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It looks
You
let's
like
know,
it's
take the
going away.
raping.
yeah,
Yeah.
before this episode, I would have thought that there's a possibility there because there's this wound,
Hmm.
in the bond relationship between
Yeah.
Maxim and Alana,
Hmm.
that I thought, okay, well, if anything would cause her to force a bond on someone just out of grief, desperation, whatever,
Hmm.
they're heading down a dark path, and then that's how it'll manifest that she'll
Yeah.
force a bond on somebody.
Hmm.
In the books, of course, it was Rand. But at this point, I feel like they've done that arc, and now she and Maxim, they even say in this episode, we're making something new.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Uh, so I feel like they've healed, and Alana isn't in that place of desperation
Yeah.
that she was when in the books she bonded Rand against his will.
Hmm.
So I think that's not a part of this anymore.
I hope not. I
Yeah.
really hope not. They've done a lot of fixing of other things, and so this
Hmm.
is
Yeah.
this is an opportunity to kind of make that a little bit
Yeah,
safer, better,
yeah.
Hmm.
better overall. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Oh God, let's see. Um, yeah, we talked about Tom and his
Hmm.
kind of paternal
Ugh.
thing. It's okay. Um, I guess you know, Leandrin in the books, she was the one who had sort of a rudimentary compulsion
Mm,
ability.
yeah.
And the way it was explained was, you know, untrained girls before they go to the tower basically had wilders essentially. They had usually two abilities, one of two abilities. They could eavesdrop on people, that's what Moraine ended up having,
Hmm.
and they could get people to do what they wanted,
Yeah.
which was rudimentary compulsion. So I think they split that out, and that was interesting. And so Naomi had the compulsion ability or the mind controlling ability. Uh, but what was interesting to me is when Leandrin tried to weave those weaves, and she said, "I wonder if I can use your weaves to do this." I wondered if that was like her entryway into acquiring that power, or if it
It's
was just
possible.
kind of like a
Maybe.
little,
Yeah.
maybe it was a
Yeah.
little Easter egg, and she's just going to be the lady with the bullets, the power bullets, shoot you double tap right in the head.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and
Uh,
she does bring it up a couple times to Naomi of like, oh, hey, like can you do this for me? Like, what can you do? How can you manage this? Like, how does this work? Are you able to, do this more complicated way? And so it's like she's learning. She's
Yeah.
trying to learn, but then, can't take it and just shoots him in the head. So,
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think just two more little things here. So, one thing is the little Aiel kid, Alcera.
Mhm.
Um,
Oh, yeah.
this was definitely a callback to book three,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
um, in the Stone of Tyr,
Yeah.
where and it was when Rand had Kalendor.
Mm-hmm.
And Kalendor lacks the buffer that keeps the corruption out, and it also amplifies it, which is a
And it
key to
and
later.
it does not have a filter to keep from burning yourself out either.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But the idea was that you go a little more mad when you use it,
Yeah.
uh, and when the child died in the book in book three, Ram did pretty much this exact same scene.
Mm-hmm.
He was invested, and he says, "Look, I'm the most powerful being, and why can't I revive? Moiraine, help me, teach me how to do this. I'm
Yeah.
channeling every thread
Ugh.
of power I can into this little girl. And he's forcing her heart to beat. He's forcing her lungs to work. She's
Yeah.
just dead." And it's a tragic, heartbreaking scene. And, they
Mhm.
brought that to the screen
Yeah.
here
In
in
a
a slightly
way,
different
well,
context.
and in a
Yeah.
way that almost is more meaningful because you
Mhm.
met the girl when
Yeah,
she
Right.
was
yeah,
alive, as
for
opposed to
sure.
just a random dead person.
Yeah,
Mhm.
And you saw the connection, which again, like this is layering into things, the whole thing with Layla and Perrin, being able to show his protectiveness and this idea of like Rand taking ownership for the people that he's killed by accident and doing what he can to try and get them back. And like, I think that's just the power of being able to pull the entire series in and picking and choosing like what part of the story do you want to tell, and
Mhm.
what parts do you think are really appreciated, like
yeah,
will get the
yeah,
point across the most.
Yeah.
yeah.
So you
Uh,
don't think this will be the start of a dead maidens list
Oh
yeah,
in
god,
Rand's head?
I hope
I,
not.
I don't think that'll be the case.
uh
Yeah, I
But
don't think. Yeah, it doesn't look like
I,
it's going that
I
way.
I think what this does do, though, both in the books and in the show, is it shows that Rand has limits, and
Mhm.
he's aware now that he has
yeah,
limits. He is this person of prophecy and destined to face the Dark One, but he's not, you know, you are not the creator,
yeah,
Randall Thor. No, I'm
Mhm.
not.
yeah,
And that there are limits to what I can do. Let's talk one last thing. Let's talk about Samael.
Oh yeah.
Uh, you know, this was what I was wondering about in Ruidian, and it didn't
Mhm.
happen there, but it happened here. Uh, and I will say, haha, I was right. Uh, or at least partially so. Instead of Asmodean, in the books, in book four, Lanfear kind of partially blocks Asmodean just enough to channel a trickle so he can teach Rand, and basically gift wraps him to Rand
Mhm.
yeah,
and says he will teach you how to use Sidene. Uh, you need a teacher, so here it is. And Lanfear was the one who sent Samael to Rand and
yeah,
told him
Mhm.
to deal with it, and he sure did. He right now he's in a pile of rubble. I can't imagine he's dead just
Yeah.
because it's one of the Forsaken, and
yeah,
you don't kill off a Forsaken like that. At least
right.
I hope not,
We'll
unless
see.
Samael's just a frickin'
He's just
complete
that weak.
loser.
We will
Yeah,
see. But I will say when I the first time that I saw, Lanfear talking about a surprise, I was expecting the Dark Hounds
Oh,
Oh,
interesting.
interesting.
because
Okay.
they came in the hold, and that was a surprise
Yeah.
that had been
Oh,
sent.
yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, not that I was disappointed that it was Samael, but
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was expecting the Dark Friends, but
I was, I was looking for the teacher that Lanfear would send,
mm,
and I was wondering.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, in the show, you don't really need a teacher. Like Bode and Eldrin, they can heal with
Yeah.
very minimal
right, a
walkthroughs,
really
and
complicated
yeah, I mean, in the books,
wound.
it's a complicated weave that could kill a person if you did it wrong.
Yeah,
Here, it's just, like, can you channel? You're good.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
channel into that person and think good thoughts.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a lot of there's not a lot of need for education the way there were in the books. Like channeling is a power, but not necessarily a skill.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that speeds things along, obviously, but
Yeah.
yeah,
then the need for a teacher is less. I'm not sure if Samael was like what Lanfear's end game was in sending Samael to
Mm-hmm.
Rand. Um, was it to teach him? Is he now a captive who will teach him? Or is it just for Rand to because what happened when Rand defeated Samael? He channeled something huge and
Yeah.
scary and,
Uh-huh.
did more than he had before.
yeah,
Is she just forcing him to assume more power?
yeah,
Uh, and maybe that's the shortcut to training is just do more.
yeah,
Yeah.
Think
Just
bigger.
yeah,
instinctual. Mm-hmm.
yeah. It's possible. It's possible. Yeah.
So we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anything else? Going once, going twice. All
I'm done.
right.
Yeah.
You can find links to follow us online in the show notes or on dragonmount.com. On our website, we have tons of great content about the Wheel of Time. Blog posts, chapter and episode summaries, news, as well as links to our YouTube channel that has tons of great videos there, including a variety of interviews that I really hope that you find out and discuss, especially the conversation that I had with Madeline Madden, who talked about the scene that she wishes that she could have been a part of, which is the one that Megiddian had with Elaine and Nynaeve.
Mm.
So it was really neat that now that you have seen that episode, you can now watch the interview and know what scene she was talking about.
Mhm.
You will definitely find plenty of things to entertain you. Also, make sure to check out our Patreon. Not only do you get to support the community of creators here at Dragonmount, but we have some other goodies for you as well, including brand new Patreon things that are coming. Well, when you get this episode, they will be live on the Patreon. So visit patreon.com/dragonmount. I am Kathy Campbell.
I am Rajiv Moté.
And I'm Maureen Carr.
This is not the ending, but it is an ending. Thanks so much for listening, and we hope you have an absolutely incredible day.